This blank page, you know exactly what it feels like. The task is right there, and yet somehow nothing happens. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. What happens next? Because what looks like laziness from the outside is something far more precise on the inside. Your amygdala is already firing right now, but before you have done a single thing. I know you know this feeling, and I know you think it means something bad about you. It does not. What is happening inside your brain is sophisticated, and once you understand it, everything changes. This feeling. There's something you need to do, an important thing, maybe urgent. Maybe you've been thinking about it for days. You know you need to do it, you know how to do it, and you're not doing it. Instead, you check your phone. Did not need cleaning. The counter was fine, but your brain found a way, anyway, to move away from the discomfort of the task. That movement away, that is the whole mechanism right there. More video, then the task, then one more. Your brain is not weak. It is executing a perfect protocol when it learned works. We will find out why it learned that in exactly 60 seconds. Or, if you're truly talented at this, you're researching the neuroscience of procrastination on YouTube. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And before we begin, I want to tell you something. Something that most conversations about procrastination never say directly. Procrastination is not laziness. That for a moment. Procrastination is not laziness. If you have ever felt guilty about avoiding a task you actually care about, guilt is the evidence. You would not feel guilty about something that did not matter to you. This is the absence of motivation, a complete absence of desire to do anything at all. Procrastination is something about the task, but you do feel guilty about the task. Procrastination is pain avoidance, specific anticipated emotional pain connected to a specific task. And your brain, your extraordinarily complex is built to do with. We're going to break this system down completely. What's actually happening in your brain when you procrastinate? Why almost all standard advice doesn't work. Science of procrastination and how to actually stop it. Not with willpower, not with a timer, with the 3 mechanisms your brain actually responds to. Episode 10, let us begin. Procrastination is not laziness and not a lack of discipline. It's an over-efficient threat avoidance system being applied to the wrong kind of threat. This is neurobiology. Let's start with what's actually happening neurobiologically the moment you think about a task you've been putting off. About a difficult task, that report you need to write, that conversation you need to have, that form you need to fill in, your brain does something very specific: emotional discomfort. It's a neurobiological event. That anticipation of discomfort activates the amygdala, your threat detection system. Your result trains your hysterical task system at the threat requiring an avoidance response. What makes this genuinely fascinating? A 2014 study by Karada and colleagues at the University of Tokyo revealed something striking. In people with chronic procrastination, the amygdala isn't just more active, it's physical larger. And beyond that, the connection between the amygdala, which helps translate intentions into actions, is weaker in chronic procrastinators. The intention is there, the link to action is disrupted. In chronic procrastinators, the amygdala is physically larger, and its connection to the action system, this isn't character, this is neuroanatomies, and it about the task you've been powerful. But what specifically counts as a threat? What exactly creates this anticipated discomfort? Fusia says of Kyle's Carbide's time, not about priorities, emotional. She identified specific emotional triggers that most consistently predict procrastination. Let's go through them, because recognizing your own trigger is the first step toward changing it. 1. Outcome anxiety. What if I do this wrong? What if this disappoints people? What if that will be this out or not is finished at some fun is lesson? Neuroscientifically, it's this anterior cingulate cortex which processes outcome-related anxiety, the brain tree's right to the boards and future. 2. Self-projected failure. This will prove I'm not smart enough. Others will see I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't just fear of a bad result. It's fear that a bad result will reveal something true and shameful. Perfectionism. This must be perfect. Right now I can't make it perfect. Therefore, better to wait. Perfectionism disguises disguise in a safe. It can effort is vulnerable. Neuroscientifically, perfectionism overloads the orbitofrontal cortex, which is involved in processing errors and discrepancies, creating a state of permanent not good enough yet. The system never signals completion. 4. Boredom. This task isn't interesting. My brain demands the kind of stimulation it doesn't provide. This is a real neuronoster brain. It's dopaminomics. Trigger 5, resentment. I didn't choose to do this. I'm being forced. I'm only doing this because I have to control. Delaying the task, procrastination is the only power available. Trigger 6, uncertainty. I don't know where to start. I don't know what this is supposed to look like when it's done. Uncertainty itself is a stressor. a brain enacts the emphatic system. Something. None of these 6 triggers have anything to do with whether you have enough time, or whether you're smart enough, or whether you have a 1 is emotional. Procrastination is always an emotional problem in disguise of a 10 and a problem. And here's where it becomes truly insidious. Let me explain why procrastination is so persistent. Why it tends to get stronger over time, not weaker. When a task triggers anticipated discomfort, avoidance immediately reduces that discomfort. That immediate reduction of pain is real, physically real. Your brain registers avoidance work. A metaphor. This is reinforcement learning, the same mechanism used in machine learning. Your brain is literally optimizing for behavior that produces the least immediate discomfort. And this explains something many procrastinators find puzzling. Why, with age and experience, it often gets worse rather than better. Because the system is learning. When you procrastinate, you're training your brain to procrastinate better. This is not a weakness of willpower, this is reinforcement learning. And like any learning, it can be unlearned. That's what today is about. Say something important about guilt. It's one of the main reasons the procrastination cycle is so hard to escape. Procrastinate, you feel guilty. When you feel guilty, you blame yourself. You call yourself lazy. You think you have no discipline. You believe it's a fundamental character defect. What's happening neurobiologically? Self-blame intensifies the exact emotional discomfort that caused the procrastination AFL. The brain's fault, that's additional pain. Your brain's just more pain associated with this task. Studies show something counterintuitive. People who practice self-compassion recover faster and achieve more. Not because they care less, but because guilt creates emotional noise that interferes with clear thinking. At Carleton University, one of the most cited procrastination researchers in the world, found a direct connection. People who forget themselves for procrastinated less. Intensifies the pain associated with the task, which makes procrastination more likely. Guilt is fuel for the cycle, not a solution. Self-frees the loop. And that's not a soft idea, it's what the data shows. If this is already changing how you think about procrastination, hit the like button. It's one signal that helps more people in this cycle find this conversation. And this conversation is needed more than you might think. Let's talk about standard advice. Because you've heard it. We've all heard it. And if it worked, you wouldn't be watching this video right now. Start. The most popular advice on procrastination. The idea, once you begin, it gets easier. Momentum builds through action. Truth in this, Bluma Zygarnik discovered in the 1920s that incomplete tasks create cognitive tension that pushes toward completion. Maria Ovsiankina showed that what's begun tends to be finished. These effects are real. Problem with just start. This advice assumes the barrier is inertia, that you need a small push and the system will move. But if the barrier is emotional, if starting the task activates the threat system, is useful advice for inertia. It's useless advice for emotional avoidance. These are fundamentally different problems, and most procrastination advice confuses them. Second classic advice, decomposition. Break the huge, frightening task into small, manageable steps. It genuinely helps a range of people. Cognitive load decreases, the next step becomes clearer. I'm not going to say this is bad advice. It's good advice. It doesn't address the emotional question directly. If you're procrastinating on writing a dissertation because you're deeply afraid it won't be good enough, breaking into chapters breaks each chapter intention enough. Third big category, time management. Planners, Pomodoro technique, GTD systems, Eisenhower matrix, schedules, time blocks. Again, these are useful tools. They help people who procrastinate for reasons of disorganization and unclear priorities. The meta-analysis shows. Saroyi and Peichel, two of the most of procrastination, showed that the procrastination with poor time management, and most strongly with procrastination, and much more strongly with legal regulation. Procrastinator, a time management system, is like giving someone with a spider phobia a better tool to pick up the spider. The tool might be excellent, but the problem isn't the tool. The problem is that picking up the spider triggers the alarm. Procrastination is primarily an emotion regulation problem. Time management systems solve the wrong problem. That's why they don't work for chronic procrastination. Not because they're bad systems, because they're solving for the wrong thing. There's one more strategy I need to address. Not because it's advice anyone gives, but because a lot of people accidentally use it as their system. Deadline pressure. Waiting until the last moment when crisis urgency overrides the emotional barrier. This works. Urgency genuinely reduces the perceived relative of pain of starting. The system equalizes. It creates a loop. The system learns that tasks require a crisis to activate. Over time, it literally stops processing tasks. It's adrenaline that y'all crisis. Bio-crisis. Pressure works short-term and teaches the brain that crisis is necessary for action. That's a dependency loop, not a system, and it has a real physiological cost. Write in the comments which of these 6 triggers is yours. Outcome anxiety, perfectionism. I read every comment, and your answers frequently become the next episode. All right, Now, to what actually works. 3 interventions, each grounded in specific neurobiology, each with a specific practical application, not abstract principles, concrete actions. Intervention 1 is based on one of the most replicated findings in affective neuroscience. Naming an emotion reduces its intensity. Matthew Lieberman at the University of California, Los Angeles conducted fMRI studies showing that when participants put a word to what they were feeling, explicitly mindro, a verbal label on an affective state reduces its neural trace in the limbic system and increases activity in the ventrolateral, the ventrolateral prefrontal mantle cortex. Procrastination almost always involves avoiding what's specifically unpleasant about a task. We vaguely know something's wrong. Your thinking brain works less effectively when emotional reduces amygdala activity, freeing the prefrontal cortex to function. You can't think clearly about a path forward when the threat system is running, and that opens the cognitive space you need to act. Get down to the task you've been avoiding. Take 90 seconds. Write one sentence beginning with, I'm avoiding this because, not because I don't feel like it. I find this task boring and I don't want to feel sentence. 90 seconds. This changes the neural context in which you attach the task. It doesn't eliminate anxiety, it reduces its activations, and it makes open access fast thinking, which name the specific emotion you're anticipating. I'm afraid of failure, I'm bored, I resent to do this. Naming reduces amygdala activity. Literally. This is not a metaphor, it's neurobiology. Intervention 2 addresses the neural dynamic at the heart of procrastinate, temporal discounting. It evaluates rewards and punishments differently depending on their temporal proximity. This is temporal discounting, a fundamental principle of Gwenford neuroeconomics specifically exploits this precisely. The discomfort of working on the task now, the benefit of finishing the task in the future, often the distant future. For the me, this is still all the capacity. Every time. One of the most effective countermeasures to temporal discounting is future concretization. This is neurobiologically grounded. By Hal Hirschfield at UCLA shows that when people perceive their future self as a real living person, not an abstraction, they make more long-term decisions. Concretizing before the task you've been putting off, take 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Visualize as concretely as possible you have finished the task. The more concrete, the stronger the neural. This is not motivational visualization in the sense of positive thinking. You're making the future reward neurally real, so the brain's calculation becomes more balanced. You can also attack temporal discounting from the other direction by reducing the immediate perceived discomfort of starting. The Pomodoro technique does when it works, not time management per se, but reducing the perceived duration of discomfort. Only 25 minutes is a different neural calculation than working 5 minutes of discomfort differently than it discounts open-ended discomfort. It shows you can go further. Micro commitments. I will only do this one single action, reduce the perceived pain so much that the discounting system stops to being discounts future rewards. To counter this, first, concretize the future, make the reward neurally real. Second, reduce immediate pain that discounting loses its grip. Both are neurobiological maneuvers. Intervention 3 is the longest term and potentially the most powerful. Prefrontal cortex, the region involved in self-knowledge, self-consistent who you are. When behavior is persistent and parentheses a threat to your identity and its direct consequences for procrastination. A person who thinks of themselves as a procrastinating person or someone who struggles to finish things has a neural context in which this isn't theory. It's a documented effect in the neuroscientific literature on self-knowledge and cognitive dissonance. Behavior that contradicts perceived identity generates a system to neural discard. Clear in Atomic Habits articulates this clearly. The most reliable way to change behavior is to change the identity narrative. Not I'm trying to write regularly, but I'm a writer. It's neural I'm trying to finish. And this is the key point. Identity reframing is built through small, repeated confirmations. Every time you complete a task you wanted to avoid, say or write one sentence. One who notices fear and hard work. Not a one-day change, but it's work that changes the system, not just fights its symptoms. And that's the difference between working on the problem and working around the identity narrative. I am someone who's special. This is my dirty expression. This is neural recategorization. This is not confirmation at a time. So you don't miss the next episode. We're going into the neuroscience of motivation, why some tasks feel easy and others feel impossible, and how to change that ratio. New episode every Thursday. I want to address a few special cases because generalizations have their limits. And some of what I've described so far doesn't fully apply to everyone. That's important to acknowledge. Procrastination associated with ADHD. This is a qualitatively different neurobiological story, and it requires a different conversation. ADHD is associated with deficits in dopamine system functioning in the frontal network. This means the ADHD brain has a substantially greater novelty or urgency to produce enough dopamine to initiate and sustain a task. ADHD is often called deadline procrastination. The task feels null and crisis. The crisis originates null. This is not irresponsibility. This is the neuroscience of dopamine deficiency. That help with ADHD-associated procrastination are different from the main interventions. Body doubling, working physically in the presence of another person, genuinely helps because social stimulation increases dopamine. If you suspect your procrastination is ADHD-related, diagnosis and treatment are neurobiological interventions. That's not a consolation, that's the science. Procrastination in ADHD has a different neurobiology, dopamine deficit rather than emotional avoidance. It requires specific strategies. This is a question of neuroscience, not discipline. Second special case, perfectionist procrastination, one of the most powerful and least understood types. Perfectionism is one of the strongest predictors of procrastination, but not because perfects want to do something perfectly. They procrastinate as a psychological defense. Unfinished is safe, finished is vulnerable. Scientifically, perfectionism overloads the orbitofrontal cortex, which continuously processes errors and discrepancies. With perfectionism, there's always something more to fix. The done signal never comes. The strategy for perfectionist procrastination, intentionally establishing good enough as an explicit value. This isn't self-deception that poor work is fine. And this decision needs to be made consciously. Perfectionism procrastinates not because the standard is high. It procrastinates because unfinished protects from judgment. Finishing is good enough is not lowering your standard. It's choosing value. Third special case, when procrastination is a symptom of clinical anxiety or depression. It's important to acknowledge this directly. For some people, avoidance covers most tasks in most areas of life, produces significant distress, and doesn't respond to self-help strategies. In these cases, we're talking about a symptom, not just a habit. The scale and the approach needs to be different. Cognitive behavioral therapy shows strong evidence for anxiety disorders that involve avoidance. CBT doesn't work to works. Why it simply is talking about it is a neural hardware. If your procrastination is serious, pervasive, and doesn't respond to any strategies, it's the neurologically grounded next step. You wouldn't avoid treatment for a physical condition. This is no different. If I have to leave you with only one tool from everything we've discussed, it's this. The next physical action, not the task, not the project. One concrete physical action that you can maybe actually about what's for right now. Google Docs and write the first line. Or send one email requesting a meeting. Draw one rectangle on a blank sheet. Make one phone call. Say the first sentence out loud. Not the task, the next physical action. Why does this work neurobiologically? Two reasons. First, uncertainty is an independent stressor, adds cognitive level of already exact with stationary load. Micro action bypasses the trigger. Write an essay carries the full emotional weight associated with the task. Open the document does not. Separately, it's not such an action. The trigger is bypassed. David Allen, creator of the GTD system, intuitively discovered this principle before the non-African. Neuroscience gives it the nefertinalis fistis in action, always. The next physical action, one concrete action that takes less than 2 minutes, bypass the emotional trigger. The step is small. Your brain cannot justify avoiding something that takes 30 seconds. There's a task you've been putting off. You know which one. It's been with you since the beginning of this video. Before you click to the next video, do 3 things. First, write one sentence. I'm avoiding this because of a specific emotion. Second, write the next physical action. One concrete action, under 2 minutes. Third, do that action, right now, while you still have the neural momentum from this video. Where we started, this blank page. Maybe there's something like this in your life right now. A task, a project, a conversation in front of you, a decision. Done it not because you're lazy, not because you lack discipline, not because you're brightening up and chose avoidant tough. That is not who you are. That is a pattern your brain doesn't happen through self-blame. It happens through understanding the mechanism, through naming the emotion. The slow work, small, consistent confirmations of a new narrative about yourself. Start with one sentence. I'm Dr. Elliott, and I'll meet you back in the lab. Follow the signal. Subscribe and write in the comments one thing, the task you've been putting off, and the first physical action you're going to take today. A public commitment is a neurobiology you leave right now. That is your first step. Right here. This is your amygdala, your threat detection system firing in response to a task. Think about what that means. Not just more active, structurally different, the hardware is different, and yet this can change because the brain is plastic, which is exactly why we're having this conversation. Triggers. And most people have more than one, often a combination that shifts depending on the task and the moment. Think of myelin as insulation around a wire. More myelin, faster signal. The moth can you take a certain path, or it can be action. What you practice, you become. The system. Now let's talk about why the usual attempts to fix it miss the mark. I'll be honest, this one took me time to actually apply. The instinct to criticize yourself feels productive. It doesn't feel like it's making things worse, but it is. Every time with someone with agoraphobia, Liz knows it is irrational to fear open spaces. They know it intellectually, and yet the fear fires anyway. Procrastination works identirous. Your amygdala does not care what you know. Fuchsia Cirrus at Carleton University put it directly. That sentence is worth sitting with, because it completely changes the type of solution you look for.
The primary structure is correlated depression in passion, reverse info.
The cost of the crisis system isn't just emotional, it's biological.
All right, that's the problem, fully mapped. Now we build the solution.
You can see it here, before labeling on the left, after labeling on the right. The same person, the same task, 90 seconds apart. The alarm has been down. Something like this. It doesn't need to be eloquent, it needs to be true. The drop is sharpest right here, near the present moment. A reward 1 week away is discounted dramatically compared to a reward. Even a few hours creates a significant gap. Field's fMRI studies, when people imagined their current self, familiar brain regions activated. When they imagined their future self, the same regions as when thinking about a stranger.
Watch.
I'll do it right now. That's it. That's the action. 30 seconds, done. But it started, and starting is the only thing that was in the way. We have never explicitly chosen our identity narrative about work. It formed through accumulated experiences, other people's descriptions of us, moments we remember. You can't unchose what you never chose now. Write this sentence, whatever version fits you. Then find one small moment today to confirm it. One action, that's one data point, enough to begin. 3 interventions. Each targets a different layer of the procrastination system: affect labeling, the alarm, temporal tools, the calculation, identity reframing, the narrative. Together, they address the whole architecture. The pathway is there. The signal is weaker. This is why urgency, which floods dopamine, creates such a dramatic shift in function for people with ADHD. The system responds to the right input. It just needs a stronger input. The phrase done is better than perfect. Here is the neuroscience of why. Perfect is a moving target maintained by an error detection system. Running it done, too high a sensitivity. Say this clearly before moving on. If any part of what I've described in this episode sounds familiar but feels out of reach, if it sounds like too much, if it's very much too often, that's not yet. In GTD, Alan distinguishes between the outcome, finish the project, and the next action. Your brain response can open the file. Only actions activate behavior. Task is, you've known since before you clicked on this video. Let's not pretend otherwise. The question isn't whether you know. The question is whether you'll choose to start. Same page, same you, but now you know what was happening, and knowing changes everything. Is what makes this intervention different from everything else you have tried. It does not ask you to feel motivated first. It does not ask you to want to do the task. It only asks for 2 minutes. And your brain can tolerate 2 minutes of almost any intentions. If-then planning, maybe whatever you call it, the research is unambiguous. Specific when-then plans increase follow-through by 2 to 4 times compared to vague intentions. 2 to 4 times. Write the plan. Bundling. You pair the task you are avoiding with something you genuinely enjoy. Your favorite podcast. The dopamine, the reward, bleeds into the task and lowers the activation energy. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence. The research from Kristen Neff and Tea with compassion rather than criticism. Procrastinate less in the pack of tea. Less. The counterintuitive truth rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. If it takes more, 2 minutes ducks the threat signal better than any amount of planning because action speaks a language your amygdala understands. Discounting is universal. All human brains discount future rewards relative to immediate ones. Your brain is not unusual is how steep that discount curve gets under chronic stress and avoidance. Frontal cortex, the rational planning part of you, is in a constant negotiation with your amygdala. Right no, and that, homie? If you give it the right initiation. Procrastination is not the enemy of success. Avoidance is the person who procrastinates in a completely inactive and definitely. The goal is eventual action, and understanding why action was hard. Narrows attention. When you are anxious about a task, your brain literally reduces its field of focus to the threat. That is why the task feels bigger when you are anxious toward it than when you resize the challenge. Procrastination is not laziness. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. State requires a challenge level that matches your skill level. Too easy, boredom and avoidance. Too hard, anxiety and avoidance. The procrastination suites get through the first 2 minutes of resistance. The blank page at the beginning of this episode is still there. The task has not changed. What has changed is your understanding of why it felt threatening. It literally changes how the airway responds of the trigger. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character. The question is where the cellular system is the cover exactly it's still sought. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether it still serves you. The question is right. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a system responding exact still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system like responding at you. It's causing the distorted stress. It does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed you. The question is whether the design procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Let me say this again because it is the most important sentence in this episode. Procrastination is not unlike character flaws and neurobiologic. The loop is self-reinforcing by design. Every cycle through makes the next avoidance easier, and the next starting also means the next starting harder. The loop is self-reinforcing by design. Every cycle through makes the next avoidance easier, but he has harder and you push through makes the next starting easier. The loop works both ways. Self-reinforcing by design. Every cycle through makes the next avoidance easier and the next starting harder. But here is what that also means. Every cycle where you push through makes the next starting easier. The loop works both ways. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. And the question is whether that still serves you. Does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not.
For inertia, this works.
For emotional avoidance, the push hits the wall. Seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Smaller steps, same emotional charge on each one. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but exactly as designed. The design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not about malfunction, but whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. 90 seconds, that's all. Set a timer if you want. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Let's do this for a moment. Together. The task is done. Where are you? What's different in your body? What is lifted from your mind? What can you now do that you couldn't before? Hold that image. That's the neural reality you're building toward. Make it specific, and the brain will actually run the calculation differently. Watch. First action, open notebook. That's it. One action, 30 seconds. The task isn't done, but the task has started. The feedback loop works in both directions. Old behavior confirms the old story. New behavior, even once, begins to confirm a new story. What we're seeing right now is your brain in action, not a malfunction, if that's exactly as designed. The quest case is whether the design, it still serves you. This is a beginning, not a cure, a beginning. Dopamine does not reward completion, it rewards anticipation. This is what the system quality of reward, not the word its fist tells them that prosta match the reality. The crisis provides what the ordinary day didn't. That's not a moral failure, that's a gap in baseline dopamine. The presence of another person, even without interaction, provides enough social stimulation to raise the dopamine baseline. This is called body doubling. It works, use it. Work is safe in a very specific way. It cannot be evaluated, it cannot fail, it lives in the protected zone of potential. Finishing requires giving that up. The error detection system never gets to rest in perfectionism. It keeps running, keeps finding fault. The done signal never comes because the acceptable threshold is unreachable. The distinction matters. Scope, severity, and response to strategy. If nothing works, that's information. This is therapy at the neural level. Not just conversation, structural change. Seeing right now is your brain in action, not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Open document, write one line, send one email, make one call. Say the first sentence out loud. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system zest responding exactly as still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Name the action and the fog clears. The task doesn't get smaller, but the first step does. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. The task. You know it. It's been with you since before this video started. Let's not dance around it. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether, in most cases of procrastination, it does not. Neural momentum right now from watching this. Your prefrontal cortex is engaged. Your amygdala is relatively calm. This is the best possible moment to begin. Not because it will always be this easy, but because the conditions are good right now. Use them. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system. The question is whether the design serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design is a procrastination. It does not. What is learned can be unlearned. Seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. This is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is, in most cases of procrastination, it does not. What we're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. What we're seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. I'm Dr. Elliott, and I'll meet you back in the lab.
Follow the signal.
Next time, motivation. Why some tasks feel effortless and others feel impossible. Thursday. Comments, the task you've been avoiding, and the first physical action you're going to take today. Your comment is your commitment, and your commitment is your first step. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is, most cases of procrastination, it does not. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action, not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system that does not exactly still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Each one of these is a different emotional story, and most people live inside more than one. Every time the loop runs, there's a cost. The task isn't done, the guilt accumulates, the energy available for everything else decreases. The loop is not neutral. Told you so far is the diagnosis. Now comes the part that actually matters. The 3 interventions that neuroscience consistently shows break the avoidance loop. Not tips, mechanisms. Let us interventions. Go. Each one addresses a specific layer of the problem. Let's go. It's originally thought we discounted rationally, consistently over time. We don't. We discount hyperbolically, with a steep drop near the present. This is why future is far and away in the mats. Herschel and colleagues showed participants age photos of the charts itself before making mortar chart seasons. The brain responded to a face, not an abstraction, a face. It's not fast. Week 1, 1 confirmation. Week 2, 3. Month 3, it starts to feel natural. Month 6, the new story has evidence. This is how identity actually changes. 1. Name the emotion before you sit down. 2. Visualize the finished state, then name the one tiny action. These 3 back together change the neuroarchitecture of it. 1 sentence. You don't need to be in the same room. A video call with cameras on works. The social presence is the variable. The location is irrelevant. If you've tried the strategies in this episode for several weeks, and the avoidance isn't still covering most areas of your life, I'd encourage you if something is fundamentally wrong with you, because you'd be, let me show you, not just tell you. This activation doesn't last indefinitely. The window is real and finite. Use it while it's open. Watch me do this. I'm avoiding writing up my notes because I'm not sure they're good enough. Open the notes file and write the first heading. That's all. That's the practice. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as serves it. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. That is not who you are. That is a pattern your brain learned. What you are seeing right now is your brain in action. Not a malfunction, not a character flaw, but a system responding exactly as designed. The question is whether the design still serves you. In most cases of procrastination, it does not. Follow the signal. See you Thursday. Follow the signal. See you Thursday.